What's going on, swoopers? It has been a while since I've uploaded a video, so let's just roll that intro and get straight into it.
Collingwood win their greatest ever margin as Collingwood unleashed.
Since I last recorded a video, Richmond won the premiership. We stopped them from getting a three-peat, so at least we can take some solace out of that fact. GWS got pumped. They kicked 3 goals for the entire game. But you've already heard all this, you've already read it, and you've already seen it, so let's just move on. So, the grand final's finished, the season is finished, now it's the off-season, a little bit of the silly season, trades, delistings, drafts, pick swaps, you name it, it's all going to happen, and this is what this video will be mainly about. So I'm just going to do this video about who I think will be retired by the end of the year, who will be traded, and who would be delisted. But that might only take about 3 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about all that stuff and then going to go into the trade rumours that have surfaced so far. Alright, so retirings. We know that Goldsack has retired and Wells has retired. So that's 2 I don't need to mention any further. I think that Dunn will also retire and maybe take on either a VFL coaching role or helping more the AFL women's team like he was last season. I don't see the need for him anymore. He was a great player. Well, not was. He is a great player. Unfortunately, he's done those 2 knees and he's getting older, so I can't see him slotting to the side, especially with Roughhead back, so I think he will retire. Another one who I think may retire, but I'm not going to put my money on it, is Varco. We didn't pick him for that last prelim game, which we really should have. Does he look for an opportunity elsewhere, or does he stay on the list for 1 more year? Because he does bring a lot to the table, but he is getting older as well. I don't think he will retire, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Alright, delisting. So, we know that Murray has been delisted. I don't think Collingwood have come out and said it, but by all reports, it looks like he's been delisted. Who else have I got here? So, these ones are a little bit contentious. I think that Appleby is going to get either delisted or will seek a trade for him. He only played that 1 game against GWS, and we know what happened to him. He got bullied by Finlayson, Himmelberg, and everyone else in that in the GWS forward line. So I don't think with Shaz there, with Langdon coming back, Roughhead, I don't think there's a spot for him next year. I also think that Crocker will be delisted. His contract is up this year, so he hasn't re-signed yet. So I do think that he will leave. I don't think we'll seek a trade for him. I think he'll just be delisted and maybe get picked up in the in the draft somewhere. Also, another guy that I think might get delisted is Max Lynch. Unfortunately, obviously played a lot of the VFL, was named emergency a couple of times. When we were crying out for a big target and someone to help Grundy out, he would have been the perfect fit, but the coaches opted not to. I don't watch a lot of the VFL, but just by looking at the stats, he just had like an average couple of seasons. So I do think, especially with Darcy Cameron looking to be coming on, I don't see a spot on the list for Lynch next season. Maybe Broomhead seeks opportunity elsewhere. I don't see him coming into the team, with the likes of Steve-O, Callum Brown, Will Hoskin-Elliott, those guys. I can't see him cracking into the team. We know that he broke his leg last year. He played VFL all of this year. And especially when Steve-O had that 10-week suspension, Broomhead may have been able to fit inside there, but he didn't. So this is who I would put up for trade if we could get something for them. It's not that I necessarily want to see them go, but while they've still got value, and that's so, while they've still got value, it sounds like they're pigs, getting ready to get sold off, but while they've still got value, you trade them. Kind of like what I was saying with Darcy Moore all those weeks ago when the Bulldogs wanted him. But, he'll sign on, he'll stay, and, great for us because he's a phenomenal player. Anyway, I digress. Who I would want to trade if we got something great back for him would be Scharenberg. Love the kid. He can play. He's lost his spot in the team a couple of times when he shouldn't have. So maybe it's I don't know if it's lack of form or the coaches just don't trust him in that back line. But if Adelaide or Port Adelaide wants him, I think they should grab him now. Maybe Adelaide, they're losing a couple of players. We could get a second round pick for him, maybe. I don't see a straight player swap. So if Scharenberg does indicate that he wants to go, I think that would be the best for our club and for himself as a player. Another guy I would trade if given a good pick for him or a good player for him would be Josh Thomas. I think he would suit the Gold Coast Suns really well. He's from Queensland, so he could slot into their team pretty well as a forward, mature head. Maybe we get some, late second round pick, or maybe we bundle up a pick and get Peter Wright, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So yeah, Josh Thomas, unfortunately, wouldn't want to see him go, but while he still has value, you trade him up. When I was researching, when I was researching this episode, contracts and stuff like that, I could have sworn Sire had put pen to paper and was signed on for 2 years or something, but maybe I was just seeing things or hearing things. It looks like he's still not contracted, so there was talk of Essendon wanting him, and I would hate to see him go, but we've only got 4 picks in the draft this year, and they're not very good picks. So if we can get a high second rounder, he's not worth a late first round. If we could get a high second rounder for him, I would take that deal in a heartbeat. We got Rupert Wills in there now, kind of does the same job, and if they've picked Wills over Sire, you kind of know where their thinking is, the coaches. I'm calling this the trade smokies. So these ones are curveballs that would be huge calls if they're to happen, and I will explain my reasoning behind them. Maybe you have the same reasoning, maybe you don't. Maybe you'll tell me that I'm the worst, but what can you do? So there's all this talk about Jamie Elliott going. Hawthorn or Melbourne. He's a restricted free agent, so they're able to offer him a deal, and we can match it if we want, or we don't have to match it. The only thing about that is, I don't think... Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I couldn't seem to find it. I was researching for ages. But even if he's a restricted free agent, it doesn't mean that he can get traded. But if he can get traded, that's a bonus for us. Jamie Elliott, yes, phenomenal this year. Picked up form, picked up where he left off. But out of the last 3 years, we've only had him for 1 whole year, which was, pretty much this year. Hampered by injuries, and yes, he's come right at this time, but Collingwood's done everything for him, hasn't signed a contract. He wants, job security, more money, or whatever it is, and we can't be bending over backwards for players like this after we've put so much effort into them. So if he wants to leave, by all means, show him the door, but if we can get something for him, if you can trade restricted free agents, which I don't think you can, but either way, we get a compo pick for him, get another pick in the draft, or another pick on trade. Now, I hope you're sitting down because this is a doozy. I kind of don't want to say it, but Brodie Grundy. So, now listen. Oh, jeez. Brodie Grundy's manager came out and said he will play in Collingwood colours next year. So he won't get traded this season. We'll stay with Collingwood next season. Cool, great. He's going to stay with Collingwood next season because he's a free agent at the end of next season. Still hasn't signed a contract with us. So my thinking is this. Does he leave at the end of next year and we get a fucking compensation pick, that maybe pick, I don't know how it's calculated, would it even be a top 10 pick? I don't even think so. Or so do we get one compo pick for Brodie Grundy, probably the top 3 best players, probably one of the top 3 best players in the game at the moment. Or, now listen. Or, do we tell Adelaide, look, Grundy is going to leave us, right? But see, then Adelaide will be like, nah, we'll just wait 1 year. But anyway, I'll just go on with this because I've already talked about it. Can we get Adelaide's pick 3 for Brodie Grundy plus a player? I think that would be fair. But, like I said, pick 3, a player for Brodie Grundy. You lose Grundy, you don't win a premiership. But, like I said in that video previously, I think it was the prelim, after the prelim, the review, we don't even use him to our advantage. We just use him as an extra midfielder. So, it's just like, it's a double-edged sword, really, if he stays, if he goes. I would want him to stay. I would love him to stay for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Give him the biggest contract you can give him because he's worth every single cent. But if he does indicate that he wants to go, you kind of have to twist Adelaide's hand and let him go this year for a trade, which is not going to happen, but this is all hypotheticals, but I thought I'd get that out there because it's just swirling in my mind anyway. Alright, so trade targets. Who have we traded? Alright, so who have we targeted or who have nominated us? And it is, the pool of players are just, they're busting the door down to come to Collingwood. Who have we got? Darcy Cameron from the Sydney Swans. Played 1 game since he's been there. He would come in as a backup ruckman. Don't see him in the best 22. I think he edges out Cox. But I see him as a VFL prospect, kind of taking Max Lynch's spot, if anything. Maybe with a little bit of size, he comes into the team instead of Cox. But he's not really a forward. He's more of a ruckman. He's not going to take Grundy's spot. So, I don't know. Backup is always good because if Grundy goes down, we don't have a ruckman and he can take that spot. And he wants to come to us. So, no one wants to come to us anymore. So, if he wants to come to us, a late 3rd rounder or a 3rd round pick, see you later. Thank you very much. Another one that's been talked about a lot recently is Josh Jenkins from Adelaide. So apparently he wants out of Adelaide for just, he will take a pay cut and whatever just to play football, not in Adelaide. And I don't blame him. So if we can get him really cheap, I don't see why not. We are crying out for a big forward and he's not the best full forward. We're not going to get Jeremy Cameron. We're not going to get Himmelberg or, someone like that. We missed out on Tom Lynch. But if we can just sit him in that goal square for 1 or 2 seasons until a bigger player becomes available, sure, it's only if we can get him cheap and we don't have to give up the world to get him. And he wants to come here, of course. Another player that hasn't been highly anywhere, and I mentioned him before, is 2 Meter Peter from the Gold Coast Suns. Hasn't played a lot of games for the Suns this season. He's a big, tall forward, but the Suns want to use him in a million different places, ruck, half forward, full forward. If we could just sit him in a full forward, maybe pinch it in the ruck a little bit, but Grundy can take out, the whole game. But a big 2 meter player who's a bit more agile than Cox is, definitely younger than Cox, maybe that could work in our favour because as much as people say that we don't need one, we definitely do need a key forward. Yes, Richmond won the 27 premiership without our key forward. They had Rewalt, but brought Lynch into the team at the start of this year, and look what they've done, He's kicked 1 million goals, and he's a premiership player now. And yeah, the small forwards work, but we do need a pivotal figure in that forward line. Alright, so they have been my delistings, trade targets, trade people, whatever you want to call them. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me who you want delisted, who you want retired, who you want to see come into the club, who you want to see go out of the club. Leave it in the comments down below. Hit me up on my Instagram, @Swoop Luke. And until then, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later. He only played that game against... Oh, God damn, why did I check this shit before I record? Idiot.